forum, so let's start the Thursday, March 7, 2024.
This
meeting.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let's call the chair sees quorum, so let's call the Thursday, March 7, 2024 meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the last meeting.
Commissioner, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second. We have a motion on the table and a second to approve the minutes from the last meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Minutes have been approved. Let's go on to the next item on the list, notice item.
Yes, okay, good, y'all can hear me. Our notice items for today, we have permit number 70, Leafology submitted a change of floor plan. We also have permit number 29, NEA Full Spectrum, a change of floor plan and an update to the mailing address.
Okay, those are the notice items. Next item on the agenda is the transfer of ownership, permit 290 BAM.
That's correct. ABC had reviewed and vetted this transfer. They found no issues with the criminal history or the tax clearance.
Okay. Do we have anybody from BAM here to speak?
Yes, sir. We got a full row here. We can call up. Grab a chair. Thank you. Here.
Not at all.
And for full disclosure, we, commissioners, we were sent quite a bit of information about the new today. I don't know if you guys have had time to read it or not. I know you were probably driving. So before we get started, I want to tell you guys that.
Sure, and I appreciate that. My name is Baxter Grinnan, attorney here in Little Rock for the firm Holden Smith, partner at the Menace audience with me, as well as Trip Hoffman and Mr. Matt Truelove. There we go. Yeah, sure. My name is Baxter Grinnan, an attorney with Holden Smith here in Little Rock. My partner at the Menace audience with me, along with Trip Hoffman and Matt Truelove. We're here for the ownership transfer application associated with Comprehensive Care Group, or doing business as Body and Mind. To your point about just getting documents, I apologize for that. We submitted really the application first in November, some amendments to the application February 19th, 2024, and have worked with Javis and the Attorney General's office, providing them information as they requested it. They requested some additional information yesterday. So I think we ended up getting it to them about 15 minutes from the request. Before you, to assist, we brought a binder with both legal information as well as what I would say information on why approval of transfers in the best interest of patients of Body and Mind, as well as the state. I've got it there. I'm happy to walk through it. Certainly you all are welcome to read it, but I think there are some highlights that we'd like to hit. Comprehensive Care Group, doing business Body and Mind, dispensary in West Memphis, was organized in June of 2017 for purposes of applying for the license to operate a medical marijuana dispensary. In March of 2029, Comprehensive Care Group entered into a convertible loan agreement with an entity, DEP Nevada. That loan agreement was for $1.25 million to be used to start up capital so that Body and Mind could get started as a dispensary. In exchange for that loan, and in accordance with the agreement, DEP Nevada was provided with an option instead of the loan being paid back to convert into an ownership interest. That agreement, convertible loan agreement, is in your packet under tab 2. With that convertible loan agreement, they were entitled to 40 preferred units in Comprehensive Care Group for Body and Mind. For ease of this meeting, I'm just going to call it Body and Mind, but the actual legal name is Comprehensive Care Group. That entitled them to 40% of the equity interest and 66 2/3 of the voting and economic rights in Body and Mind. The reason for the 66 2/3 is because DEP Nevada put in 66 2/3% of the original capital for at the beginning for the creation and operation of the dispensary. In accordance with that agreement, in September of 2020, DEP, along with Body and Mind, was before this commission requesting transfer of ownership. That's under tab 3. But our purpose here today effectively started in September of 2020. At that time, DEP, a publicly traded entity in Nevada, sought to have the interest converted in its name. I wasn't here then, but it's my understanding that the application was neither approved or denied, but instead it was tabled indefinitely because the commission did not have a procedure to permit a publicly traded company to have ownership interest in a dispensary. Mr. Leibert may recall that. I know he was here then, but it wasn't a matter of not approving it or approving. It was a matter of we didn't have a rule in place that would permit it. Since that time, effectively waiting on a procedure to be created or something else to change, DEP's held its option until August of 2023. At that time, it assigned its option in that convertible loan agreement to an entity, Big Stone Farms AR1. Big Stone Farms AR1 is the entity that we seek to have added as a member of Body and Mind. That assignment, again, trying to walk you through the documents, and they're there. That assignment is in tab 4 here. The convertible loan agreement allows for an assignment from DEP to a related entity. Big Stone Farms is a related entity. Mr. Hoffman, who's here with me, is the president both of DEP and a 55% owner in Big Stone Farms AR1. Through the actions of CCG, the current membership of CCG, it's on tab 6. In September, and the current members, prior to your approval, have approved are Don Marshall, Alicia Hussein Walker, and David Littleton on behalf of the state of Gary Glasgow. But effective September 18th, 2023, in tab 6, they approved the conversion of the assignment of the note to Big Stone Farms. They approved the admission, again, ultimately with your approval, of Big Stone as a new member of Body and Mind, and they elected Big Stone as a new manager. Significantly, as shown in tab 7, they also approved a new operating agreement for Comprehensive Care Group Body and Mind. And I want to point out a couple things in the operating agreement. On page 2, one, it reflects that initial contribution to capital. It shows that the funds pursuant to the convertible loan agreement were 2/3 of the capital that was initially contributed to this entity, and the other members contributed 1/3. Again, it explains the interest that will go to Big Stone Farms with your approval. And then perhaps more important or more of interest for you all. So assuming you approve that Big Stone Farms will have 66 2/3 voting and economic interest, you all might be concerned that this entity would be able to control the CCG, the licensee, with that 2/3 interest, even though it was not required to do so by any of the documents between the parties. Big Stone Farms consented to changing this operating agreement and changing majority vote to 75% of the interest. So it will not be able to take any actions under the operating agreement without the second vote. Effectively, another member of the entity will have to vote with Big Stone Farms to be able to effectively do anything. And so even though it will have 2/3 of the voting interest, it will not have the ability to control the entity on its own. And that's on page 2 of the agreement. That's shared. Similar language is on page 3, page 4, with regard to the management of the entity. Trying to move this along
Hey, Baxter, can I stop you for a second?
Absolutely.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? I have quite a few. You want to start asking a bunch of questions now, or do you want to wait till he finishes up? I'll go ahead and ask a few questions just since we're on this section.
Yes, sir.
On this, who has the tax liability on this? Is this one of these where it's just an equity owner and then that equity owner has to pay the taxes and they can't sell it or anything like that?
See, there's a couple of things in there. The taxes are going to pass through to the individual members. The individual members, assuming we approve it, will be the estate of Mr. Glasgow, Mr. Marshall, Ms. Walker. Then it'll get to Big Stone Farms, and that's separated. That's ultimately Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Truelove through their entities.
Okay,
If I may,
go ahead.
if I may add some information that the entity CCG has been set up as a C corp. So it actually pays its own taxes before the profits flow through the owners.
And I apologize, I'm not very educated on this. I didn't think that any publicly traded company could own anything with marijuana. Am I wrong? I mean,
The publicly traded company, with this, the publicly traded company will not own anything with marijuana.
Okay.
Do you mind if I explain that?
yeah, sure.
So it's under the convertible note, that has been assigned to Big Stone Farms, which is an Arkansas LLC. It does not, DEP Nevada, the public entity, does not have the ownership interest in Big Stone Farms now, and unless something changes in the future and this condition approves it, would not have an interest in it.
Okay. So the answer is you can be publicly traded on a piece of a marijuana dispensary or cultivator
Yes, you can in other states.
in other states. Okay.
It would be ABC's position that a publicly traded company could not own a dispensary.
Gotcha. And go ahead.
I was just, in case I missed it, DEP Nevada will not have an ownership interest. If you all approve this, DEP Nevada will not have an ownership interest.
Okay, I'm following you now. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's been-
And since we're still in this section, and I had this question when I first saw this on the $1.25 million loan.
Yes, sir.
What's the default mechanism? Why they didn't pay this payment and in the original agreement documents, you had, at the time, I think we were trying to do it on December, and you had the maturity date in March.
The note doesn't mature in March.
But we're in March.
But it hasn't matured yet. It matures the 15th.
I mean, and I'm not trying to drill you with questions, but if we approve this tonight, you have a loan of $1.25 million that's due in what?
No, sir. If you approve this today, that loan goes away.
Yeah.
In exchange, so just instead of taking a payment of that loan, they're taking, it's been assigned to Big Stone Farms. Big Stone Farms would take its interest, taking interest in the.
All right. Sorry about that. I just want to be very clear on it.
Oh, thank you for asking.
Okay, you go ahead.
All right. I was, again, trying to walking through the documents. On November 9th, we first submitted the application. Ms. Davis and Mr. Lewis with the Attorney General's office. We have talked back and forth. My word would be extensively, but maybe it's normal. It doesn't matter. Since that time, they raised a concern because initially Mr. Hoffman was the 100% owner of Big Stone Farms. Mr. Hoffman is not an Arkansas resident. They raised a concern with that, meeting the residency requirement, to make sure that we met the residency requirement, to take all doubt of that. Big Stone Farms and Mr. Hoffman made a decision to sell 45% of the interest in Big Stone Farms, Mr. Truelove, through an entity that he has called Big Stone Acquisition. Just for the record, when I'm talking about Mr. Truelove's ownership of Big Stone Farms, it's through Big Stone Acquisition. But with that transfer to him, and we've got the documents establishing that transfer. Document number 9 is where he purchased, again, through his entity, that interest. And then document number 10 is his setup of his entity based on acquisition, and where the last page is where they approved, based on acquisition, approved the purchase of the 45% and based on farms. Document number 11 is the new operating agreement based on farms. Again, I just want to point out one thing, and I think it's just significant for you all. On page 12 in section, page 5 in section 7.1, that's out the restrictions for the transfer of interest in based on farms. And so this section limits both Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Truelove from selling or otherwise dispensing of their interest in the entity without the other's approval. So they have to have unanimous consent to be able to sell an interest. And it also specifically contemplates that the Medical Marijuana Commission will have to approve any transfer. So I said this to say this commission, if you approve this, is protected. I think you're protected under the law anyways, but even under these documents, they've gone a second step of ensuring that any change in ownership has to be approved by you all. And that was done in an effort to protect it and be consistent with the law here. Paragraph tab 12 are option agreements. I'm happy to discuss what those are, but effectively, if the law changes at a later date and you all approved it, then DEP would have an option to purchase or to acquire the interest. There are 2 separate documents there. One is related to Mr. Hoffman, the other one is related to Mr. Truelove. If the commission approves the transfer of ownership today, the option related to Mr. Truelove's shares goes away. That's tab 13, the assignment and assumption agreement. But if this, I want to be clear, if the commission approves this transfer today, neither Mr. Hoffman nor Mr. Truelove can sell, transfer, or otherwise dispose of their shares. As long as this commission has jurisdiction, as long as they're operating or as part of an entity that operates a dispensary, they cannot transfer their shares without this commission's approval. And so you have the protection in that. The very first tab in the back in front of your notebook shows the breakdown of ownership. We try to make that very easy to see. But if approved, the equity ownership would be broken down. Mr. Hoffman, a non-resident, would have 22% of the equity. Arkansas residents would have 78% of the equity. Mr. Hoffman would have 36 1/3 of the voting and economic interests, and Arkansas residents would have 63 1/3% of the voting and economic interests, satisfying the standard that Arkansas residents have 60% or greater of the interest in the entity. Thus, Arkansas law in that regard is satisfied. Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Truelove both submitted background checks. They both have been in this regulated industry operating in Arkansas in various capacities. I think since the inception of medical marijuana in Arkansas, they both submitted background checks. They've operated to meet the tax requirements. I believe they meet all other requirements for ownership. Mr. Hoffman, through body behind, has been involved with the management of this dispensary since its inception. He's here, happy to talk to you about that management. The trouble in terms of economics is they have to start out with what they've done to turn it into a profitable, good corporate citizen in West Memphis and what they mean there. We're happy to answer more questions.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner Thomas, do you have any questions?
No, sir, I have no questions.
You gonna spend time to read the,
Mr. Chairman, this is just for me. I just receiving this at 11:43, and I have not had time to look at what was said. I don't feel comfortable voting on myself. I would like to table it till next month so we have time to, is there any more information that's coming in? Do we lack anything else that?
We don't lack anything else as far as I can tell, and I would just state that, everything that Mr. Drennan said tracks with my review.
I myself would like to review it, but what about the rest of you guys? I haven't had time.
you wanna make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, you may have something.
Go ahead.
I understand your position, and I'm not trying to keep you. We have a March 15th deadline. Our financial documents expire. This deal is going to expire. And so I can't tell you for sure where it'll put our deal in body mind, but if we wait beyond March 15th, the deal's in jeopardy. These folks, the investment they've made since 2019 is largely up to this point.
And I appreciate that. I just, I guess I don't understand why everything was so late. I'm trying to figure that out in my own head, but that's, I'm with you guys. My motion would be to table until April, but I understand if there's, conflict or whatever, but that would be my motion.
Could we request a special meeting? Again, I'm not trying to keep it for the second one. Can we request a special meeting 15th?
There's something with it, we'll get that done by the 15th. The only time we've ever requested special meeting was during renewals, and that's it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, there is a secondary concern if this deal expires. That the rest of it goes up to expire as well, and for the commission's concern about logging in mind with Spencer operating, it's very likely that after March 15th, the employees, management is right here. And if this deal expires and they go away, I don't obviously fully know, but we have a going concern about whether or not the dispensary will stay open. Employees, all of the management, et cetera, of it, and certainly will be open for 48 hours. I think there's going to be a practical consequence of this that will allow patients to go without care in an area that's underserved and for an indefinite period of time. And so one ask that I would make, Mr. Case, I respect you wanting to read this. Appreciate you doing so. It's comforting. One request I would make is instead of tabling it, if there is an opportunity to get through the rest of the meeting, to take a short break, so you have the time to vet the materials, and then to come back to allow us to answer any questions that might remain for you, so we can answer those questions and to see if we can get it done today. Obviously, seeing a special meeting unavailable for the.
Yeah, here's my question. It's being brought to us 8 days before your deadline. We knew nothing about a deadline. I mean,
We actually first brought it.
and it's old adage, lack of planning on somebody's part on emergency on our part.
I'm not suggesting that we turned our paperwork in, was required by this commission. We turned in February. Ms. Davis asked more questions. As she asked them, we provided the information in a timely fashion as the questions were asked. Again, I think Ms. Davis would confirm within minutes of being asked for the information we provided. That information was beyond what's identified in the commission's rules for an application. And so that's the explanation.
When did you guys get it?
Chip can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was forwarded to him this morning. Is that correct?
Yes, Ms. Chavez forwarded it to me this morning, and I forwarded it along. And believe it was forwarded promptly to the AG's office on request as condition.
And our initial application was submitted. We submitted the amendment related to Mr. Trula on February 19th. To Ms. Davis, Mr. Lewis, and Mr. Lewis with the AG's office.
Well, you want to keep your motion on the table?
I'm motion still.
We have a motion on the table to table it to the next meeting. I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm sorry, but it's been tabled.
Thank y'all. Have a good afternoon.
All right, next item on the agenda is a transfer of location.
Yes, in regards to permit number 145, Greenlight Little Rock, they requested a transfer of location. We vetted the transfer and found no issue with the location, but I should mention we received several letters both in support and opposition of the transfer to Jacksonville.
Commissioners, hear this?
No, I'm sorry.
Say it one more time.
You're fine, I was jumping forward. Permit number 145, Greenlight Little Rock has submitted a transfer of location into Jacksonville. ABC did vet the transfer and found no issue with the location, but we did receive several letters both in opposition and support to the move.
And have those letters been distributed to all the commissioners?
I believe so. You should have received those as they came in. I believe they would have been forwarded from Mr. Leibovich.
Okay. Transfer location, so I would like us to stop transferring locations till after we get all our renewals done. That's my request. I mean, you can go. But I think we need to get through renewals, the new system, before we take on any more major projects. That would be my motion. And if that needs to be in a motion. And what I would like.
There would have to be an motion. So you're saying that
No, basically no transfers. Let's don't even approve any transfers
until June,
until, yeah, June. Let's get all the renewals out. Staff can get through that, then we can move forward on that. But, you know, because obviously we got a lot of work to do. So that would be my motion.
And if you would like a date certain, I believe June 30th would be the conclusion of renewals.
okay,
August will be our first week.
or be July,
Yeah, June, I'm sorry, July.
be after July 4th. Okay, we have a motion on the table to basically, I guess you'd say, halt transfer of locations until the July meeting.
You need me to put that in third form?
Yes, please.
Okay, my motion is to halt any renewals till the July 2024 meeting, which we don't know exactly what that's going to be yet because of,
We hadn't planned far out yet.
we got that far yet. So,
Okay, transfers.
oh, yeah, I'm sorry, transfer, yes, sir, sorry about that shit.
Transfer of location.
Transfer locations. That was my motion.
Commissioner Miller, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the table and a second to postpone all, or is that the best way to say it? Postpone all transfer of locations until the July meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, the next item on the list is a new processor application, Collective Cannabis Brands LLC.
That's correct. The Collective Cannabis Brands LLC is associated with Arcana brand, who has the same owners as Dark Horse Medicinals. They have been previously vetted by ABC and no issues were found as far as criminal history, tax clearance issues.
Do we have anybody here from Dark Horse?
Commissioners, Michael Swami from Rose Farm, here on behalf of, Michael McSwamy from the Rose Farm, here on behalf of the collective, cannabis brands and Dark Horse Medicinals.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Laflamme? I just have one. Do you guys already own a processor license? Same company?
Yes, Chairman Miller, Dark Horse Medicinals operates a processor operation over off of Bowman, very successful. They have exceeded their space. I would actually invite the commissioners to come out and look at the facility. It's a really neat facility, very modern, very up to date, but you'll see that they're constrained for space. And so they have an opportunity to utilize some excess space at the Hash & Co location. And they thought it would be most appropriate. There's no way to bifurcate, locations with a license. And so this really is a part of their processing operations, but they want to expand they've got this extra 5,000 square feet of space. And so they've got some opportunities to bring some national brands that patients want here in Arkansas, and they need the extra space at the Hash & Co location to begin developing and producing the products, getting them out to the dispensaries. And so we kind of worked through this with ABC before about whether bifurcating a license location was possible. And so we haven't found a way to do that. And this was the most appropriate mechanism that we could find to make that happen. They wanted to be very clear that, this is a wholly owned company of Dark Horse, but it's the only way to have, two operating locations. They're just out of space. And, the commission wanted to come out and see their space. It's really neat. We had DFA there on a tax matter a few months ago. I think all of the DFA members that came out and took a look at the space were really impressed. And I know they would love to have you guys out there also to take a look, but I can tell you they're out of space.
Is there any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the new processor license for the Collective Cannabis Brands LLC. We have a motion and a second on the table to approve the new processor application. All in favor, say aye. 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 All right, the new processor application has been approved. Next item on the list, I wanted to add something in here. I don't know if it needs to be in the first part of the law. I'll go ahead and put it out there. With these processor licenses out there right now, we have no limits on them, no caps. And I was going to suggest to the AG's office and ADC if we could possibly work on a rule when we do rules next time. See if we can put it in a rule to cap it at 15, and then we'll bring it up in front of the commission for discussion. And we also probably need to put in there in possible rule as far as like how the licenses are being issued after that, whether it needs to be a lottery or double blind, whatever you guys do at ABC. That way that there's a cap on them, and that say you have one dispensary out there, say they get in trouble, they can't just go open up under their name, that there's a finite number of them. And I don't know if 15 is the right number, but I was just going to throw that out there as is possible. We can discuss it whenever we go over rules.
Sure, we are happy to work with you guys on that. As far as timeline, are you wanting to see something before you next month, or just in general, you want us guys to start working on that?
Let's bring it up in the April meeting.
We can do that.
Can I add something? Sure. One thing that I guess we need to look into is the old daisy chain we put in effect to, the same processor. And you're right, make sure that, I guess, if we say 15, but they've got 5 locations, how do we address that? That's up to y'all.
I didn't think about that. That's good. So let's look at that in April. And I guess in April, if there are any other rule changes that are suggested by the Attorney General's office or suggested by staff, can we bring up the concepts in April?
Yeah, do you want us to just add under the administrative matters on the agenda for April, any potential rules that we're looking at, including the processors one?
Yes, please.
We can do that.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the renewal process, which that's your date.
Thanks. Chairman Miller, this commission did approve our new Tyler Technology Systems for an online portal for renewals. So we have that portion of the approval. I did want to notify the commission, we are going to open up that portal to start receiving renewal applications on April 1st. The commission rules do require cultivators and dispensaries to have their renewal applications in 60 days prior to the expiration of the term. So May 1st is going to be 60 days in advance of May 30th. So I think 1 month period between April 1st and May 1st should be plenty of time for everyone to have their applications submitted to us. If this commission wants us to try to open that window a bit sooner, we can get with Tyler Technologies and work on that. I don't think we've ever received a renewal application in March. That's a little bit early, but I just want to let the commission have that call. If we're good with April 1st or we want to open it a little bit sooner, May 1st is going to be our deadline for dispensaries and cultivators to get their renewal applications in.
Do we need to vote on that or just?
This would be a manner, if it's anything, if you want to keep it April 1st, it's already set. If you want to change it to a date sooner,
No, April 1st is good.
very good. Thanks.
Or it's good by me, it's good by me.
And I should add too, which we may be getting there, and I think Chip can speak to it a little bit more. There was some internal discussion at ABC about moving the May meeting. It's been set for May 2nd, but with the timeframes that are out there for these renewals, it may make more sense to push that back 1 week, if not 2, if that would work for y'all.
Okay, May 27th is Memorial Day. It's up to you guys. I'm easy. So we were set for May 2nd, so we'll move to, let's probably give it 2 weeks.
16th, May 16th.
May 16th.
And would you guys be okay with setting it at 3, just in case we have more business to get through that day? I just don't think
Possible, but 3 is part of 2:30 or 3.
that's either way is fine with us.
You're the one that
Yeah.
takes a while to get here. That's fine. Commissioner Thomas, are you okay with May 16th at say 3 o'clock?
Yes, sir, I'm good with that.
And then if we wanted to go ahead and set June, it would make sense to push June's back a little bit as well, since we're pushing May's back. So somewhere middle of June, if you guys want to go ahead and set that one. It looks like to me it would make sense June 13th.
Okay. You guys be able to June 13th? What do you want to say, 3:30, whatever? Commissioner Thomas, you want to say 3:30 on the 13th?
I'm gonna say yeah, but June's a long way away for me right now.
Okay. All right, we're going to tentative to June 13th, and with that, we'll go from there. Seeing nothing else, meeting's adjourned.
This conference is no longer being recorded.